Hey kids, it's Jurassic James, and it's Jurassic James looking at Xuanhanosaurus. Xuanhanosaurus. It's a different name. So I mentioned this in the last couple of videos, and so finally we're opening it. This animal has a lot going on. Now, first and foremost, I want to point out as I open it with the official scissors, Jurassic James. Superficially looking at this, and I'll say this politely, the Jurassic World minifigures, like these kind of $10, $12 figures, in general, I'm not really quote pleased with them in the idea that because they have to be a certain shape and design for, you know, like they're mass produced kind of thing. When I first saw this animal, I thought it was some kind of early Tyrannosaur, and so for me, like I said, my biggest example of this, to give you kind of perspective on my gripe, is that I didn't mention it in the video. This is a Dilophosaurus. I feel like I should be more upfront with you guys. So Dilophosaurus literally means elongated lizard, and so when you look at a skeleton of one of these guys, they're like literally stretched out, and so they all have the same general. I mean, there's alterations. Like, they're not the exact same mold, but they're just slightly altered. And to me, it's like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, and it's good they have these different names out there, but it's kind of annoying when you miss some of the key features of the animal. And so for Xuanhanosaurus, one thing to point out, there's no skull, no, right? And so when you see the skull here, it looks like, I mean, they just copied a Tyrannosaur skull. And the reason that's so annoying is that if you look at the family tree of theropods, the predatory dinosaurs, they are nowhere near that Tyrannosaur. So that's like, when I just look at this shape, and when I look at that, I'm thinking, oh, this is some kind of like Raptor Rex, some kind of early Tyrannosaurid, or even older than that, right? But anyway, on the main point, so with the figure itself, again, 4 toes, 3 fingers. I believe, if I read correctly, they may have had a 4th metacarpal, which we don't see here, which is another important thing. Big picture, when it was discovered, it was suggested that, this is before Spinosaurus was really understood better, it was suggested, or our modern interpretation of Spinosaurus, that these guys had longer arms. And so what we see in general is that the earlier theropods, they usually have longer arms. As they go up in time, they usually have shorter arms. So that's something that we see, you know, but the argument can be made, well, maybe this animal's really good at grasping. But the first paper suggested that maybe they were the first, or the only at the time, theropod known to walk on all 4. Since then, of course, everyone's attacked that idea. But I know that's a unique thing to put out this guy in the story. So looking at it again, the metacarpal, so you have your humerus, ulna radius, your carpal, metacarpal, and your flanges, your fingers. So the metacarpal is kind of like this part of your hand. So they usually have 3. The theropod dinosaurs, this guy has 4. So again, it's showing how it's kind of primitive or basal. But as far as the figure goes, it's nice. But again, even then, looking at the feathers on it, that kind of tells me Coelurosaur. Now we think that all theropod dinosaurs had some kind of feather or covering or something. That's kind of the general prevalence now. But we know we see it in Coelurosaurs, the dinosaurs that include raptors, rexes, you know, Gallimimus, those guys. And so that's why when I just look at this guy, just superficially, without any context, without any name, my thought is like, oh, early Coelurosaur, Tyrannosaur relative, you know. But actually, it's thought to be a megalosaur by most. And so the tail, of course, same rules apply. The tails are always a little bit too short for my opinion. But the hands are turning inwards. So that's a plus. The feet are too big because, like all these figures for Jurassic World, they're trying to balance a toy. So as far as family tree goes, I want to put that out real quick, is that when first discovered, it's thought to be a megalosaur. Now, there's a lot of history there. I went over it in my last video, Pinskysaurus. So we have Eustriptospondylus. This is the Walking with Dinosaurs version. This is a 2007 Procon, Eustriptospondylus. These are the same animal. I've done a video on them, so I just put them in here. The Megalosaurus itself, this is the 2009 Collect A. And then we have our Afrovenator, which is the only Afrovenator I'm aware of on the market. And this is a 2010 Collect A. So these are essentially megalosaurs. And our friend from the last video, Pinskysaurus, on some sources say it's a megalosaurus, and some sources say Pinskysaurus is a Metrocanthosaurus, which includes Metrocanthosaurids, and again, this guy here, which these are closer to Allosaurs. These are, you know, and again, the question is, which are you close to? Is your design closer to Megalosaurus or Allosaurus, right? But Metrocanthosaurus being a middle ground. This guy and this guy are often put between the two, meaning that most sources, and I'm going to lean on, most sources are saying these are Megalosaurs. But some argue that this one, if not both, are Metrocanthosauruses. And it's one of those things where different people are publishing different things, and I'm not here to tell you, well, this one's right or wrong, because I don't have a PhD yet. But the idea is that this is one of those things where these are such, everyone concludes, everyone believes that they are still very, very basal, very primitive in a sense. So if they are, especially Xuanhanosaurus, if it is a Metriacanthosaurus, it's the most primitive, or the most basal Metriacanthosaurus. And if it's a Megalosaurus, you know, same thing too. But these guys are kind of, if you look at different papers, they kind of go back and forth a lot. So it's interesting that they put these in the same paper, same wave for the toys. And so anyway, and again, if you don't know more about that stuff, look at the last few videos. I've gone more into the families of these things. As far as environment goes, let's see, these are mainly from Europe and Africa. Well, mainly Europe. The Megalosaurus that are well known are from Europe, and then of course we have our African one here. So this guy is found in China. It is a carnivore. It is something that is found in the lower part of the formation. Now we mentioned the term upper or lower, or you've heard early Cretaceous, late Cretaceous, right? Or early Jurassic, late Jurassic. Because in time, the morning is early, and then later in the day, it's late, right? But in a fossil record, we usually say upper or lower. Because let's say we're looking at, like, this event happened first. Well, actually, I'll just do it this way. Like, these events happened first, so they're earlier, and then these guys live in the same formation but later. So you're saying early or late. So this one's early or late. But in the fossil record with the geologic record, it's really upper or lower because this is one layer of rock, and here's another layer of rock. So you're saying early or lower, and late or upper, right? So this guy is found in the lower part of the formation. So here's the thing. These two are contemporaries, and then Mechisaurus, and again, at some point we're going to get a Jurassic World Mechisaurus coming out. I already did a video on this guy from PNSO. So these guys all live together, basically. These Stegosaurus, Giganospinosaurus, and they're all in the same time. The Sinoraptor here, and this is a Carnegie 2003. It's the only Sinoraptor I know that's really out. But it's one of those iconic, it's a family name. There's multiple Sinoraptorid animals. And so these guys are later, this is Middle Jurassic. And so same part of China, same formation actually. So again, just because you were found in the same place doesn't mean, and the same time frame. So you say, oh, they're Jurassic, they live together. Well, they're in the same area, but there was a change in the fauna. Now, the area is sandstone rich, so think of a forest, basically. Lots of big petrified trees are found there, fossilized. So we're seeing that it's not a desert, you know, and in paleontology, know this, just because you're digging somewhere and it's one way today, doesn't mean that's how it's always been. So, for example, you go to the Badlands, North America, and you're digging up T-Rexes and Triceratops, and you look around this dry, arid area. But if you look at the fossils around the Triceratops, you see, well, first of all, there's mud, clay, shells in the rock, and then there's broadleaf plants, which you see in tropical, warmer areas. So that tells us that area was tropical. So when you see documentaries or animation recreations, not so much now, but in the past, where they'll show a T-Rex as this open desert, it's like, well, no, that's where it is now, not where it was then. So as part of China, same thing. You're looking at the fossil record, you're seeing sandy mud, think of a Gulf, kind of a Gulf Coast-ish looking area, and these trees, that's the environment. So again, this is another animal that's really, really obscure. People don't know it's out there. Oh, and for those of you who care, there's your DNA code, because kids care about that. But again, it's something that these are species that I wouldn't expect toys from. So exciting, weird, but again, there's no skull. So looking at this animal, you're like, I mean, it's a Tyrannosaurid skull to me. And this, you know, I don't know. I want to stop saying that. Okay, that being said, I'll see you guys next week. I think we're going to do, let's see, we have the next two. There's a Tyrannosaurid from Asia, a Protoceratops. I'm going to Tyrannosaurid first, then a Protoceratops. That'll be a big focal point. All right, see you guys next week. Thank you.